Joining me on the panel, Nina Easton, columnist for Fortune magazine, Ron Fournier, senior political columnist of National Journal, and editor-in-chief of LifeZette, Laura Ingraham. Senator Rand Paul in our center seat. Senator, you've repeatedly voted against raising the debt ceiling. One is coming up very soon. How will you vote?
I can't vote to raise the debt ceiling. It's sort of giving more credit to people who are drunk on spending, and we can't give them more credit. And so what I would use it is as an opportunity to use the leverage for those who believe we have to raise the debt ceiling, use it as leverage to try to get spending cuts. In 2011...
Even though President Obama says he's not going to negotiate on this front at all.
Well, he said he wouldn't negotiate last time, and he did in 2011 over this. He negotiated, and we got what was called sequestration or overall budget caps. So I think you do need that, and you should use the leverage. All of these things should be points of leverage for Congress to exert their authority. I think
even
Congress,
if you're up against a fiscal cliff of a possible government shutdown.
Yes. Well, the other thing we discovered last time when we had this debate is Congress, I mean, the government brings in, $60–70 billion a month. There's plenty of money to spend on interest, so we would never default on the interest. There's plenty of money actually to fund Social Security, Medicare, and soldiers' salaries. Little else is left in it, but might be a good idea to re-examine what we are spending our money on. But I would use it as leverage to get reforms, and I would force the issue. But I would also have done the same with the previous spending. I would have let all the spending expire and say, now let's negotiate on what you want to spend money on, and it would take 60 votes in the Senate to get any spending bills through.
How much power do the donors, the donor class, have over the GOP, specifically the GOP candidates for the presidency?
I think there are certain people that there is power exerted over them.
Name them.
Now you really want to get me in trouble. No, it's someone's opinion, but I would say that there are people who are very much influenced by who the money they give to. I think there are people, and I would count myself in this category, who I'm uninfluenceable by the money. I am who I am, and I believe what I do. And there are people who give to me who agree with what I stand for. But nobody, I think, believes they can give me a donation that I will change my opinion. But there are people up here, many people. I would say the majority of Congress will go with the wind, and the wind is money. Which way the money is blowing, they will go. And I would say that's the majority. If the Chamber of Commerce
wants something to get done, it usually will get done.
I would say the majority of Congress are influenceable.
Ron.
Donald Trump says eminent domain is wonderful. What would you call it?
I would call it one of the worst things that government does, and because one of the fundamental building blocks of capitalism is private property, and to say that the government can take private property from a small property owner and give it to a big corporation like Trump or one of his casinos, I think it's antithetical to freedom, it's antithetical to what we stand for, and the fact that he is for this abuse of eminent domain really ought to be a disqualifier for any conservative Republican to vote for him. And I keep waiting for everybody to wake up one day and say, oh my goodness, he's not really a conservative, because it's true. He's a fake. He really isn't a conservative. And no conservative in our party is for using eminent domain like he is.
Nina.
Let's talk marijuana. You're considered, even though you don't support recreational marijuana, you're considered probably the most marijuana-friendly candidate, supporting medical marijuana.
Yes.
But now we have in Colorado, which does support recreational marijuana, it's legal there, and we have this several hundred billion, or excuse me, $1 million business industry built around that. What do you make of that? Is that a good thing?
I think it's a good thing to allow states to make their own laws. And so it was funny, when we had the presidential debate recently, many of the governors were standing up and beating their chest about how they love the 10th Amendment, which leaves the powers not enumerated to Congress or left to the states and people, until the governors decided they disagreed with marijuana, and then they decided they were all for federal laws telling the states what to do. But I'm sort of agnostic to the state of Colorado. I think the state of Colorado should get to decide. I am sympathetic, though, to people who have kids who have intractable seizures, and they've tried 7, 10 different medicines, and they want to try cannabis oil. Most of the other people on the stage would take that child away, send social services, and put the mother in jail. I'm against that. I am for more freedom, and I think particularly with the medicinal sort of qualities of cannabis, people ought to get a chance to make that decision themselves.
Last one for the panel here before we move on to politics. Maddie Bear tweets in, who would you nominate as the next Speaker of the House?
A couple people have asked me that. I got one vote last time, so I haven't decided whether to actually actively campaign. Anybody can be Speaker. even someone in the Senate or someone not in politics could be the Speaker of the House.
There's Donald Trump right here.
He's not real high on the list. But what I would say is that what I've been telling people, and I do believe this, it ought to be somebody elected to less than 3 terms. You want really new blood, you want to really change things. If you go to who's next in the pecking order in leadership, you're going to get more of the same. So nothing against any one person, but I would go to somebody who's brand new and fresh and just came in from the private sector.
And you're for term limits in this campaign as well.
Absolutely.
The latest Real Clear Politics average of polls has you at 2.3%. And if you look at the state-by-state polls today, Florida, you're at 2%, Ohio at 3%, Pennsylvania at 1%. How do you turn that around, and what do you tell supporters who say, we're just not seeing it?
You know, I'm thinking about maybe going to joke school or something. Maybe I need better jokes. I've been told I need better hair. I need to be taller. I need better clothes. You know how many people tell you have to do something different to bring your polls up? But I guess all I know is to say what I believe in, and I'll keep saying what I believe in, is that government's too big, debt's too big, and that we have to do something, and that really the problem is not just the liberals, not just the Democrats. It's the right and left spending too much money, and I'm the only one saying that it's really an unholy alliance of both sides, some Republicans and some Democrats getting together to bust the budget.
But you're running for president, but you're also running for senator at the same time.
I'm doing better in that race.
Well, there will be a decision at some point. When do you think that'll come?
I'm going to let people vote, and I think the polls don't accurately represent our organizational strength in Iowa. We have chairmen in all 99 counties in Iowa. We have hundreds of precinct chairmen. We have 1,000 students rallying for us. I would hate to, give up and say the students aren't going to get a chance to vote for someone who truly thinks you shouldn't be putting everybody in jail for marijuana, that really we shouldn't be at war everywhere around the world all the time, and that really there isn't another way, that there isn't a third way.
Laura.
Trans-Pacific Partnership. I know you voted against the Trade Promotion Authority. Donald Trump is against it. Hillary Clinton today comes out and is against it. What is your position on the super secret document that nobody's seen?
Well, I can promise you once I take a final position, I'm only going to take one. Hillary, I guess, has been on both sides of this issue. I don't like TPA, which was giving special authority to the president. I think one of the biggest problems we have in our country is too much power going to the executive branch and going away from Congress. So absolutely, I didn't want to give this special power and this special pathway for it to come through. I was also very annoyed with the fact that this trade agreement was classified, and at first they told me I couldn't even see it.
Why was it classified? Do you
I
think,
have
Senator?
no idea why a trade treaty would be classified. I'm still complaining. When I meet leadership in the hallways of Congress, I'm saying, why in the heck do you classify
You know why
a trade
it's
treaty?
classified. They don't want people to see what's in it.
Well, I went to read it, and I went there with some staff members, and we spent an hour and a half in there, and I'm not so sure I was even given the final copy, because now the final copy's come out recently. So I can't tell you. I like to read things, so I'm going to read it first. I'm in general for trade, because I think trade enriches us all, but I don't like the organization of international bodies controlling our trade.